Okay, I think we're live on both platforms, team. Well, good morning. Happy Thursday. Happy Leadership Thursday. I am Jeff Moore, currently serving as the CEO of ICE and lead faculty for our cervical and lumbar spine divisions. Great to be here. I want to start out, as always, thanking the great folks from the previous weekend. Steve at B Physical Therapy in Oviedo, outside of Orlando. What a wonderful weekend. If you're in the Orlando area, make sure you hit that up. I mean, the website's Oviedo Physical Therapy, but Steve's got this wonderful clinic going on, one-on-one care, incredible people, wonderful time, Steve. Thank you so much for hosting, and thanks everyone for being there. Really had a wonderful couple of days down in Orlando, so thanks everybody. Well, it's Thursday, so it's Gut Check Thursday, right? So let's cover that coming right out of the gates. So what we've got is a fast couplet for this Thursday. So we've got a combination of rowing and goblet squats. So it's going to be 200 meters on the row, 9 kettlebell goblet squats, right? 400 meters on the row, 15 goblet squats, 600 meters on the row, 21 goblet squats, and unfortunately that's going to be with a 70 or a 53. Sure looks good, right? It looks doable. I think Alan posted that he thinks it can be done in 5 to 7 minutes. The math all works out. What the math does not take into account is how it's going to feel jumping off that 600 meters and into that first heavy goblet. So we'll see how all of that goes. Hope everyone can do it. Hope you can tag hashtag IceTrain and Ice Physio. We love watching all of you do Gut Check Thursday around the country. A lot of courses coming up. If you want to catch our clinical management of the fitness athlete course, our live course, I know a lot of you do. We've got one this weekend in Houston with Zach Long, the Barbell Physio. And we have one in Vancouver with Mitch Babcock, February 15, 16. We also have modern management of the older adult up in Vancouver. That's February 22nd, 23rd. And then we have total spine thrust manipulation with Justin Dunaway in his hometown in Portland, Oregon. And that's going to be March 7, 8. So a lot of great courses coming down the pipe. The last thing I want to say is if you don't have time to watch 2 videos today, I would encourage you to sign off of this one and sign on to Jessica Davis's video from Tuesday, her PT on Ice Daily Show, because it was beautiful. It was authentic. It was a look into everything that we are supposed to be about as providers. Wonderful story, challenging story, but heartfelt story about her father and kind of where healthcare needs to be for people to come alongside them. And you know, if you're getting frustrated by it, there's so much chit chatter in this profession and on social media and infighting. If you just need to remember what we're doing here, go watch that video. You'll be happy you spent the 15 minutes. Okay, wonderful. Let's do this. So 5 areas that I was dead wrong. I had a blast doing this. So I had a little bit of time last night, hanging out here downstairs, kind of going through some work. And I sat and really reflected on a lot of the conversations from the weekend about how different we treat patients now than we even did a couple years ago, which really made me reflect on how different it was 12 years ago. And I sat down here and thought about what the biggest changes were, and I want to share those with you. And I really want to encourage anybody else who wants to fire up a live, tag me in it. I want to hear what's changed the most for you, because I think it's fun to reflect on your journey, not be too hard on yourself. You were doing your best. New information's come to light, but it is important to realize how far we've come, and because we walked that walk, that we're better serving people. I think it's a wonderful thing to reflect back and realize. Number 1, maybe the most boring one, but probably the one that, like, if you actually watch me practice, is the one that's changed the most. I believe when I came out of school, when I was a new grad, that the key was identifying passive faults, passive movement faults, and addressing them passively, right? And that in isolation, that was valuable, right? That reliably you could do it. That doing so actually changed the connective tissue in that area, improved mobility, and when you did that, people moved more and felt better, right? Now, don't mishear me. I believe we can do a ton with our hands on people. I believe, number 1, we can recognize motion limitations, right? A lack of capacity. I absolutely believe that. We can use our hands to work people into those ranges that haven't been explored. We can activate and facilitate musculature in those ranges to help them own it. We can decrease fear through tactile support. We can change muscle tone temporarily and make movement more comfortable and load more possible. All of those things should be done with our mitts and do have a really important role in restoring someone's movement and functional capacity. What I don't think is happening is that we're changing tissue with a few bouts of 30 seconds in any serious way remodeling a region, and that it's the correction of that that results in the person feeling better. Yeah, I spent the majority of my first couple years of my career doing that. So I think that's probably the biggest like architectural change in the way that I behave now in the clinic compared to the way that I behaved back then. All right, let's go a little deeper though, because that was more like procedural. Number 2 is a big one. I really believe that knowledge was the key to getting people better. I thought that you could science people better, smart people better, right? The problem is, as every year goes on, and I watch us try to come alongside humans who are having a hard go, who are suffering, right? Who need you to come alongside them so they can feel better. People don't need education. They don't need your knowledge. They need inspiration. They need your leadership. I didn't realize that early on in my career, right? Guys, we aren't sending people to the moon here, right? We're trying to get them to eat salad and pick up heavy things with friends on the regular. Right? And that is not rocket science. It's probably not so much about the amount of knowledge that we have as it is about the way that we lead those that we come alongside. I mean, independent of your genius, I'm sure it's incredible, right? If people slept 30 more minutes a night, stopped eating sugar, exercised at high intensity 4 to 5 times a week, and had a mindfulness practice, they would feel dramatically better, right? That's just a reality. And none of that takes a massive brain to figure out or a massive brain to execute. So in realizing this, because people follow people, the most important thing we do is lead from the front. I think to get human beings' lives better, the most important thing that we do is lead from the front. Because what we need them to do is change their behavior. And changing behavior doesn't come from education, it comes from inspiration. People follow people. People do not jump off their couch in the middle of the winter and run outside and start training for a 5K after they read a newspaper clip about how the ACSM encourages more physical activity in a given week. No. They jump off their couch after they watch Rocky IV, and they get their stocking cap on, and they get out there and they suffer and they go to work because they're inspired. People change their behavior when they're inspired. If you want to change people, they don't need education, they need inspiration. I didn't realize the value of that. I thought it was that next randomized controlled trial that I was going to read that was really going to change my patient's life. It wasn't. It was me being at the gym every day and them knowing that and them following those behaviors and them saying, I wish I was doing that. Maybe I should do that. Tomorrow I'm going to do that. That's coming alongside humans. That's breaking trail. That's pulling the sled. And that's what people need you to do more than ever when they're suffering. Okay, number 3. I thought people wanted an answer. It seemed logical to me, right? I'm a pretty analytical person. Like I thought people were coming to me for an answer. More than anything, I thought they wanted an answer. They don't want an answer, right? As the years go on, right, that's becoming more and more apparent. Now, don't get me wrong. They do need something. They do need information. But first, they want to be heard. I think we all agree with that. I think it's hard to, if you're in the rehab sciences or anywhere in the healthcare space, it's hard to admit that you have not noticed that people really want to be heard. There's a number of reasons for that. Number 1, they're human beings, right? And being connected with in that way, again, going back to Jessica's thing, please watch that from Tuesday. But that's really the crux of care, right, is listening, coming alongside the person. But the other big reason they want to be heard is that one thing they do want to know is whether or not something is seriously wrong. That they do want to know. Like the only way that your words, hey, I don't see anything sinister here. I think you're going to be fine. The only way that carries weight is if you heard their entire story and did a very detailed subjective and physical exam. I don't want to go too far off the ledge here, but I would argue the most important reason that you attempt to be as thorough as possible is so that when you go to share the message, that they're going to be okay. I had a good look here, Joanne. I see no reason. There's nothing to be concerned about. I see this all the time, right? Let's get you active, get you rolling. Your body's strong. You're already eating great, which is huge. I can't believe you're walking every day to the mailbox. Good on you. Like this is going to go really well in the next couple of weeks. No, it's not. It's not cancer, right? You don't have any of the signs or symptoms that would make us suspect or seek out additional referral for that. No, it's not this other serious disorder. The only way those words are comforting is if you heard them in depth and examined them in depth. Even if you just take away any information you get from that, the fact that you did it, when you turn to say it's going to be okay, it counts. So people need to be heard, first and foremost, for both of those reasons. They're humans. And they need to be able to have a lot of stock when you say it's going to be okay, because that is the optimism that begins to bring them out of the hole. Okay, second, they do want to be shown that they can get better, but they don't need an answer for that. And that's where I was tripped up in the early years, right? They just need to see it can get better. When that person comes in and they've got a golf meet coming up in 2 weeks with their son-in-law, and they were really looking forward to it, and they practiced all year, and now their back's in spasm, and they show you this swing, and they go into about 15 degrees of thoracic rotation, and they have really sharp thoracolumbar pain, spasm, and their knee kind of buckles. They're like, oh gosh, see, Jeff, it really hurts me. I'm never going to be able to do it. Okay, when you give them a really nice quick stretch at that thoracolumbar junction, right, and you get in there and activate a little bit of musculature, you help them breathe a little bit and stop guarding quite so much, and they re-explore the motion, and it's significantly better. Right back to our foundational philosophy at ICE of building the bike, that's what the patient wants to see. They want to know nothing is seriously wrong and what they have going on is going to improve. And neither of those, oddly enough, require knowledge or an answer about what specifically might be driving it. Not saying it's never good to provide that information. I'm just saying these are really the things that humans need. Number 4. I thought I knew stuff about movement, which is by far the most embarrassing, right? And this belief came because other people told me that I did, right? I was a movement expert, right? And I knew a whole list of things. The knees shouldn't go over the toes, right? The scapula should be down and back, right? And I was told that these things were correct, right? And so I came out thinking that I knew stuff about movement. I didn't. I didn't know a damn thing about movement. Now, I'm aware a lot of you did. I didn't. I had no strength and conditioning background. I wasn't an Olympic lifter. I ran in a straight line at low intensity for long periods. That was about the overall capacity athletically that I came into my career with, right? And I believed I knew stuff about movement. I will never forget. I'm sure Kelly Starrett does not remember this, but Gene Shirakabrad of Recharge and I had a masterminds group years ago. And Kelly Starrett was kind enough to come on the show and share some of his wisdom and chat about his career. It was a wonderful, wonderful getting to hear his expertise. And somewhere during his talk, he sort of called out the group and he said, are you all practicing movement on the regular? And I remember this feeling in the pit of my stomach of like, ooh, that question shouldn't have sounded as foreign to me as it did. I knew that somebody who lives and breathes, is deeply entrenched in the movement space at the highest level, was asking me a question that sounded so foreign, I didn't even know how to answer it. And I knew I was in trouble right at that moment. And I really began reflecting, and I really began to realize, oh, I don't know a thing about movement, and I don't know how to do it, demo it, or lead it. And that was devastating, because that was kind of at the part of my career when I was beginning to realize that it really is moving more, moving often, moving at high intensity, that creates a different human being and a different structure that leads to a better life. And I didn't know anything about this stuff. Here's the kicker though, and this kind of goes back to the one above. It wasn't knowledge that got me out of that, right? It wasn't reading about it. Don't get me wrong. I love doing the CSCS. I love doing CrossFit Level 1 and reading their program. I love everything the CMFA group at ICE puts out. I've learned a ton. But that's not what's really made the game change for me. What's made the game change is me getting underneath heavy loads and trying to figure out how to function, how to feel stable, how to be able to move them efficiently, how to be able to move them powerfully. Like me getting under load and struggling. That's what's changed everything. That's what's changed my ability to watch someone move and say, hey, I have a couple ideas. Try these couple things and see how that feels. Having really good tips that aren't overcomplicated, that are external, not internal, that help someone manage weight better so they can load themselves heavier so they can get stronger faster. It was me struggling, still struggling. I'll be struggling at 4:30 today, but it's been me struggling. And thanks to Clancy Brown and Endure, it's been me being able to help out a bit with the teens program at the CrossFit gym and give these kids tips, because kids are beautiful movers, right? I mean, they drop into front squats that are just, it's envious, right? But they're also very open to listening. So, when my son or my daughter or one of the other kids at the teens program is clearly off balance, right? Working them and saying, hey, can you drive your knees out a bit, right? Can you screw your feet into the floor, right? Can you punch the ceiling, right? Can you get ready to take a punch? Can you get some stability centrally? Watching them respond to cues and playing with movement, that's changed everything. Those were the things. I can't believe we don't have to do that before we become physios. I can't believe we call ourselves a movement expert and we never struggle under load or coach it in other people in any actual functional way. Like, don't get me started, but that's probably the biggest gap that was there, number 5. This is the one I corrected first, but it still could have happened faster. I believed early on that knowing a lot of people, e.g. networking, mattered or had value. Now, like I said, that was the very first one that I figured out, right? Was that kind of superficial networking does not have a lot of value. I realized early on, it's not about who you know. It's about which exceptional people you have repeatedly proven yourself to. That was a huge shift to me. Because if you think about it, in the areas where you want to excel, in your niche, your subspecialty, et cetera, in the areas that you want to excel, there's only a couple people at the levers. Like, as I have continued to look up for help throughout my career, it's always the same couple cats. Like, in your given niche area, there's only a few people. Now, everyone's trying to look as though they are, but when it really comes down to brass tacks, people that can make things move, there's only a handful of those in any given niche area. The more you have identified those, the better you've identified them, and the more you have repeatedly proven yourself to those folks, the more you are going to quote unquote get ahead. The more they're going to pull those levers for you. It's not who you know. It's which exceptional people you have repeatedly proven yourself to. And this is bigger than professional, right? The beauty of deep relationships in this way is that you grow personally, right? You can't say that part about a massive, shallow network. You might be able to tell me professionally it's working for you. You can't tell me you're growing personally because of it. My encouragement to you is stop making connections and start making actual friends. People you really care about that care about you, where you matter to each other personally and professionally. If you can just grab onto that and ditch all the rest of the stuff, I think the amount of progress will be absolutely exceptional. I'm going to give you number 6, right? I know it was supposed to be 5. I know I'm late, but I can't help myself. There's a lot that I wasn't doing right. Number 6, this one's pure business, and I got to say it because I think it explains a lot about how we all at ICE are standing where we are, doing what we love, and beginning to do it at scale. And that is that I believe that business success was exclusively about performance. Best product wins. I really believe that. I believe that excellence was everything. What I have now come to realize is that business is a dead even split between excellence or product and systems, right? Make no mistake about it, right? If Alan Frenendahl, COO of ICE, would not have come alongside this organization, we would probably not be having this conversation, at least not this many people, right? It is the systems that he has put into place that allow this thing to scale, that allow us to do what we love and not do the other stuff that takes away from really sharpening the sword in the area that we believe in. It is that took us up to the next level. Don't get me wrong, excellence matters. Excellence looks different. It always matters. You hear it every weekend course. You can only scale excellence with systems. I didn't realize that early on. And a lot of it was luck, that Alan was the right person for the job and that we connected and that he was able to kind of really in that way take us under his wing very gently early on saying, Jeff, there might be a better way to do this. And now not so gentle nowadays. Now, hey, Jeff, stop doing it the way you're doing it, right? And get your butt over here. So that the adoption of systems has totally changed our ability to take this thing from a side gig to a serious gig. Team, those are 6 things. I would really love some of you to go live and share yours because I'm telling you, I sat down here for about an hour last night and just thought about the biggest changes and why they matter, right? And recognizing that so we get better at recognizing in real time what needs to morph, how we can get better, how we can improve, how we can strive, how we can finish strong. Think about it. PTOnice.com as always, folks. Thanks for being here for Leadership Thursday. As for my courses, I'll be in Nebraska here coming up, but it's a private course, so I'll probably catch you all on the road in March or April. South College students, it's almost lab time. Something to think about. Team, get out of here. Go enjoy your week. If you have not listened to Jessica Davis's PT on Ice from Tuesday, get over there and listen to it. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.